colors at the bottom here are defined by a color palette, and there's many to choose from. These palettes are stored in the data directory, which is one of these two folders depending on your platform. So let's have a quick look at what these files actually look like. We're interested in the palettes folder, so let's go inside and list the files. Each of these correspond to one of the listings in this menu. Let's take a random one and see what it looks like. So this follows the GPL standard, which is a GIMP palette, and they follow this particular structure. So the first line must be GIMP palette. That's what we see here. The second line is the name, and this is called Royal. And for the actual body, for defining the colors, it's RGB followed by an optional color name. So we can see we've got RGB values, color name here, and the rest don't have any color names. Now, to create our own file, we could create one just like this manually, but we can also use Inkscape to do it. We're going to use this particular image as a reference, and the nice thing is it's got these hex values, and all we have to do is create a bunch of squares or rectangles with the colors that we want. Now, it's not particularly important that this needs to be neat. You can just have squares in any sort of order, but we are going to align it so that it looks nice. And let's distribute it, align it. There we go. Right, now we can just change the fill to match which colors that we want. So I'm going to change this to red, this one to a particular green, and this one to blue. Awesome, we've got our 4 colors. I'm going to delete that. To make this a palette, all we have to do is export it as a GPL file. So let's go to File, Save As, let's call it, you can give it any name that you want, but what you have to make sure is that you select GIMP palette as your format. And let's save it. Let's have a look at what it looks like now. Just a quick note, you can open this with any text editor. You don't need any specific software to view these files. And we called it Graph. There we go. It looks very much like the one that we saw last time. And what's nice is these hex codes are given as the name. One thing that's important is that the ordering matters here. So over here we had red first, but when we exported it, just a quick look, red starts with EA, and we see that that's actually at the end because it orders this alphabetically for some reason. And if you do want to keep that order, you can just switch those lines around. So I'm going to move this to the top. And obviously you can add stuff if you'd like. So let's add a random color. It has to be below 255 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, we just added in a random color. We're not going to give it any name. Let's save this. To actually make this available to GIMP, or well, to Inkscape, you have to change it to, you have to move it to the data directory that we saw earlier. So let's do that. And palettes, we're going to put it in palettes. You might need admin privileges to do this. So if you're using Windows, then you might just want to open it as admin. You might want to open the File Explorer as admin, and it should show up in that directory. So let's just quickly check that it was copied. And there we go. We can see it there. Now, if we go back to Inkscape, you'll notice that we actually can't select it yet. And the reason is because we have to restart Inkscape for it to actually load. So I'm just going to close this and reopen it. There we go. We can see our file. If we select it, we've got our colors. This is the random color that we had. You can see red is at the front as we needed it to be, and you can go ahead and use it. So it's quite handy. You can select a shape and use whichever colors you like. I've got our custom color palette.